Oh, Knowledge Whales coming at you with the flippers of knowledge. Slap, slap. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. It's actually possible to walk from one side of the United States to the other on a single hiking pathway. The American Discovery Trail is 10,944 kilometers long and crosses the country coast to coast, from Cape Henlopen in Delaware to Limantour Beach, California. A few days prior to signing the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, Thomas Jefferson bought a new thermometer. He recorded the temperature in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the document was signed on that historical day, as 76 degrees Fahrenheit or 24.4 degrees Celsius. In July of 2016, Radford Army Ammunition Plant, a highly classified military explosive factory in Virginia, had to take extra precautions after people were caught sneaking onto the premises while playing Pokemon Go on their phones. A rumor spread that there was a Charizard on the property when of course there wasn't. The hides of around 22 cows are used to make enough footballs for the Super Bowl and over 3,000 for a regular NFL season. The oldest Your Mama joke is actually 3,500 years old. It was written on a tablet by a student in ancient Babylon. In 1978, an undergraduate architectural student named Diane Hartley saved an uncountable number of lives when she pointed out a flaw in the construction of a skyscraper in New York City. If the error hadn't been fixed, the 59-story building would have likely collapsed and taken everyone inside and on the street below with it. In 2013, Sony released a fully waterproof MP3 player. To prove their new device's underwater capabilities, each one was sold fully submerged in a bottle of water. During World War II, the fuel used in the US Navy's torpedo motors was a 180 proof grain alcohol, which the officers would often steal to make torpedo juice, the combination of the fuel and pineapple juice. That sounds nasty. Naval authorities began mixing poisonous substances into the fuel simply to stop it from being consumed, but the sailors kept figuring out ingenious ways to separate the alcohol from the poison. Here's an idea. Just don't drink it. During breeding, a hummingbird will build its nest close to a hawk's nest, as the larger birds will instinctively protect them from animals that prey on the hummingbird's eggs. Although he was previously a non-smoker, actor James Franco started smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day in order to prepare for his role as James Dean in the 2001 television biographical film James Dean. Franco also learned to ride a motorcycle, play guitar, and even isolated himself from his friends and family in order to get into the right mindset to play the part. It seemed to pay off as he ended up winning a Golden Globe for the performance. Patty Boyd, who was the wife of the late George Harrison of the Beatles and the inspiration for their song Something, is also the inspiration for Eric Clapton's hit Layla, in which he confesses being in love with his friend's wife. Ooh, bet you didn't know that, but now you know. Unlike regular tires, the tires used for NASCAR teams are actually filled with nitrogen instead of regular air. This is because nitrogen has a more consistent rate of contraction and expansion, which gives the car better traction and handling than if they were filled with just air. Oh yeah, skirt skirt! American novelist Nathaniel Hawthorne added the W to his last name in order to keep his relation to his great-great-grandfather, John Hathorne, a secret. John Hathorne was the only judge that did not repent his actions during the Salem witch trials. Known as the Angel of Death, Joseph Mengele, a Nazi doctor at Auschwitz, would conduct deadly experiments on many of the prisoners. One of these included an attempt to create conjoined twins by sewing 2 twins together. The experiment was a complete failure, and gangrene soon set in and both twins died. 50 amazing facts getting dark. There is actually a magnetic bone inside your head right now. It's called an ethmoid bone, and it's located at the top of your nose where many believe your third eye is. As a magnetic bone, the ethmoid aids in your sense of direction. Mine must be broken because I constantly get lost. After being captured on March 18, 1915, suspected member of the Mexican Revolution, Wenceslas Maguel, a 25-year-old better known as El Fusilado, or the Executed One, was shot 9 times by a firing squad. He managed to somehow survive and went on to live another 60 years. There is actually a response to the children's rhyme Liar Liar Pants on Fire. It's I don't care, I can buy another pair. On the Richter scale, which is used to measure the strength of earthquakes, the asteroid impact that killed off the dinosaurs approximately 66 million years ago is estimated to have reached 13. Anything that hits a 15 on the Richter scale would completely destroy the Earth. On July 31st, 1914, in preparation for what would become World War I, the Tsar of Russia banned the sale of alcohol. The move ended up devastating the state's budget, as the Russian government made over a third of their income off the sale of booze. In Russia, booze drink you. Female kangaroos can actually slow the gestation of a baby inside of them if they believe the environmental factors around them can be a risk to the newborn's life. They can also determine the gender of the baby while carrying it. George R.R. Martin, the author of the books the HBO series Game of Thrones is based on, actually appeared in the unaired pilot as a nobleman in a giant hat. However, when the scenes were reshot, Martin did not reprise the role. In Australia, McDonald's has gained the nickname Macca's. The name is so popular that in 2013 it was officially changed, signs and all. Many Mayflower pilgrims were fleeing prosecution in England, but some were actually leaving in fear of the Dutch Republic, who they believed were influencing their children. If you took 1 cent and doubled your money every day, you would be a millionaire in just 27 days. In fact, you'd have $1,342,177 in that time. There are more people in the world who learned English as a second language than those who learned it as their first language. Animated superhero girls, the Powerpuff Girls, were actually creator Craig McCracken's college project. Back then, the project went by the original name Whoop-Ass-Stew. When at full capacity, the University of Nebraska's Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska holds 85,458 people. This exceeds the population of any other Nebraska city, with the exception of Omaha and Lincoln itself, meaning the stadium is, briefly, the 3rd largest city in the state. If you're caught drunk or acting violently in the country of Japan, police will place you on the top of a futon and roll you into a burrito. Many species of animals experience something called the Coolidge effect. Named after United States President Calvin Coolidge, this biological anomaly occurs when a new female is introduced to a group and the male exhibits a renewed sexual interest. This can also occur directly after the male has just finished having sex with a previous and still available partner. Between 2005 and 2007, in an attempt to prevent copyrighted music from being pirated, Sony BMG legally put rootkits on 22 million of their CDs. When the disc was put into a computer, the software, which could not be uninstalled, would modify the user's operating system in a way that made copying CDs nearly impossible, while also sending their music listening habits back to Sony. Ironically, the software the company used wound up being a copyright infringement of its own. The Holocaust Memorial Project in Berlin was halted in 2003 after people found out that the company that created the coding used in the monuments to prevent graffiti was the same company that created the gas that was used to kill millions of Jews in World War II concentration camps. The world's longest cave system is Mammoth Caves. Located in the state of Kentucky, it has over 640 kilometers of passageways and is almost twice as long as the runner-up Sac Actun underwater cave in Mexico. Dogs have a second organ for smelling located at the back of their nose. Known as the Jacobson's organ, it helps improve the canine sense of smell so much the animals can actually smell cancer on a patient's breath. Technically, dogs can detect cancer. Hollywood's Walk of Fame currently has 17 fictional characters with their own stars on it. Among these are Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Shrek, Godzilla, Woody Woodpecker, Donald Duck, and Snoopy. Back in the Middle Ages, two men were able to move in together, combine their resources, and essentially live as a married couple under a legal category known as embrotherment. New York's Brooklyn Bridge, which was finished in 1883, actually predates Tower Bridge in London by 11 years, the latter not being finished until 1894. The USS O'Bannon, a World War II naval destroyer, defeated a Japanese submarine in 1943 by heaving potatoes at the enemy vessel. A plaque was created commemorating the crew on their ingenuity, but it was stolen in the 1970s. In order to strengthen their immune systems, kindergarten students in Siberia often strip down to their underwear, go outside, and dump freezing cold water on themselves. No thanks. On December 11th, 1937, Romford Stadium in London held its very first cheetah race. Up against two greyhounds, the female cheetah named Helen left the pooches in her dust, reaching a speed of 88.5 kilometers per hour and instantly giving her the title of Queen of the Track. Released in 2012, The Lorax features the voice talents of Danny DeVito as the titular character, but not just in the English versions of the film. The actor also provided voice for the German, Italian, Spanish, and Russian dubbed versions. The cicada, a flying insect found in Africa, spends 17 years of its life sleeping before it wakes up, spends 2 weeks mating, and then it dies. During his term as President of the United States, John Quincy Adams approved an expedition to the center of the Earth in an attempt to prove the planet was hollow. While filming the 1964 movie Cheyenne Autumn, some Native American actors kept making inappropriate comments in their native tongues, as nobody else on the set spoke their language. At least one of these comments actually made it into the final edit of the film and featured the actors making fun of the size of the character's penis. In April of 2015, Haley Atwell, who plays Peggy Carter in Marvel's Captain America movies, had her driver's license photo taken while in full movie makeup. In 2014, construction on a highway in Iceland was stopped because protesters claimed the crew would have to destroy a church that was attended only by elves in its path. The city paid to have the church, which appeared only as a giant boulder to human eyes, moved by crane before construction on the roadway was allowed to continue. Nearly as many people were executed by guillotine under Hitler's rule by Nazi Germany as were in the French Revolution. The first hot air balloon trip took place in Versailles, France in September of 1783, but instead of humans, the passengers were a sheep, a duck, and a rooster. How did they get themselves down? When ATMs were first introduced, many believed that they would be total failures because only prostitutes and gamblers would want to do their banking without looking a teller in the eye. In 1993, archaeologists discovered what is believed to be the oldest pieces of chewing gum on the Swedish island of Orst. 3 pieces of chewed birch resin were found, each dating back over 9,000 years. In August of 1957, Buddy Holly and the Crickets became the first Caucasian band to play at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York. Due to a mix-up, the man who booked the band thought that he was getting the Crickets, an R&B group with a similar name that was made up of African American men, but instead got 3 white men from Texas. With it being too late to change anything, Buddy Holly's band went on stage and after a rocky start, eventually won over the crowd.